distinguished guests, speakers. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this inaugural conference of our Center for Pedagogical Research with the theme, Embracing the New Normal of Education, Blending Technology and Pedagogical Design. Because of the pandemic, most of our participants will be joining us online, but we still have some of our colleagues here with us in this room. Some people might not realize that the College of Professional and Continuing Education, or PolyU, is one of the largest, if not the largest, self-financing institution in Hong Kong. We have over 11,000 full-time students, not counting the part-time students and the participants of continuing education. We have always prided ourselves for our good teaching. And we check the student feedback scores every semester, and they're always very high. And the results from the International Student Barometer conducted by the iGraduates has consistently shown that the teaching and learning indicators of our students are always above international and Asian benchmarks. However, we cannot be complacent. The teaching and learning context is not static. We cannot ignore challenges like the pandemic, new technologies, and new student expectations. We need to innovate constantly and improve. Over the years, we have secured many grants, and we're very grateful to EDB for their QESS, QEF grants that many of our colleagues actually have secured. We have also secured grants from the Standing Committee on Language Education and Research, or not commonly known as SCHOLAR, from the Jockey Club, as well as from the RGC on teaching and learning related topics. Just last year, our funding for teaching related research totaled more than 10 million Hong Kong dollars. Last March, CPCE decided to further facilitate staff's scholarly activities in teaching and established the Center for Pedagogical Research, or commonly known as CPR. Later in the same year, CPCE has also established a big data lab and a STEM EdTech lab to further support initiatives in the pedagogical area. The conference today is the continuation of our effort along this line, offering researchers, practitioners, the opportunity to engage in insightful discussions on ways to overcome the pedagogical challenges and evolve the use of technology in the post-pandemic era. The conference will encompass 3 themes: online blended learning, EdTech, and innovative pedagogies. It is great to have so many colleagues participating in this conference, examining these very important issues. We are honored to have the Undersecretary here with us today, and I'm grateful to our speakers to share their research findings, practices, and insights with us. I'm grateful to my colleagues, especially Dr. Esther Tong and Dr. Viens Lai, for organizing this conference. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We are very honored to have Dr. Choi, Christine Yerk Lin, with JP with us today to deliver the keynote address. Dr. Choi is the Undersecretary for Education Bureau of the HKSR government. Let's give Dr. Choi a warm round of applause.
Professor Yun, Professor Fox, Professor Poon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my great honor to address the inaugural conference organized by the Center for Pedagogic Research of the Hong Kong Polytechnic University's College of Professional and Continuing Education. The pandemic has irrevocably transformed education, and this conference provides the most opportune occasion for researchers and educators to engage in insightful discussion on ways to overcome the pedagogical challenges through technology under the new normal. The COVID-19 pandemic has made significant impact on different sectors of our society, with the education sector being one of those hard hit. We saw severe disruptions to teaching and learning under the traditional mode of delivery. Schools are thus compelled to think out of the box and devise innovative solutions to ensure that students' learning needs are properly addressed despite the disruption. I'm glad to see that schools, teachers, students, and parents have shown remarkable resilience, adapting and adjusting quickly to the trying circumstances shaped by the pandemic. Thanks to the concerted effort of the community in containing the threat of the virus, though, through, among others, vaccination and social distancing, the pandemic situation in Hong Kong has very much been contained compared to the world. That said, while today many of our students have returned to school in an orderly fashion, over the past 2 years, the Education Bureau has spared no effort in supporting the adoption of e-learning, blended learning, and other new methods of teaching and learning in the light of school context and students' learning needs, all in a bid to help advance the objective of suspending classes without suspending learning during the pandemic. In respect of post-secondary education, we are pleased to learn that local self-financing institutions have always been flexible in their operation and responsive to the changing needs of students and the community. Unsurprisingly, these qualities have stood them in good stead in face of the challenges and disruptions brought about by the pandemic. These institutions have managed to not only shift to alternative modes of teaching and learning in no time, but also provide comprehensive support for students within a short lead time by leveraging the latest technological innovations. In addition to the integration between technology and pedagogy, which is a trend accelerated under the impact of the pandemic, tertiary institutions are also aware of the need to rethink teaching and learning as a preparation for full resumption of face-to-face teaching when the pandemic has finally subsided. For one, there is no disputing that a blended mode of teaching and learning has distinct advantages in certain aspects over the more traditional modes and may very well become a part of the new normal. It also drives a huge wave of investment into education technology, which promises to add new dimensions and excitement to teaching and learning. The government has all along supported the parallel development of self-financing and publicly funds post-secondary education sector. A vibrant self-financing sector helps diversify our higher education system and provides more education opportunity for our young people. To facilitate the healthy and sustainable development of the self-financing sector, the government has rolled out a wide range of support measures to help self-financing institutions better respond to and recover from the pandemic by blending technology with pedagogical design and upgrading information technology, the IT equipment and infrastructure. The establishment of the CPR and the organization of this conference are a strong testament to the government's committed effort in this regard. Despite being established for less than a year, the CPR has already been actively involved in a number of projects funded by the Quality Enhancement Support Scheme, QESS, under the Self-Financing Post-Secondary Education Fund to improve teaching methodology and practices. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the QESS, since its establishment in 2012, the QESS has supported numerous worthwhile long-work projects that aims to enhance the quality of teaching and learning for students and teachers, as well as the self-financial education as a whole, to help self-financing institutions to cope with the challenges and disruptions brought about by the pandemic. In the last 2 academic years, the QESS supported 14 projects on IT-related initiatives and innovative pedagogy, including 2 led by the CPCE, with a total commitment of over 59 million. Not only does the QESS provide timely funding for self-financial institutions to upgrade their hardware and software for introducing blended learning, it also builds a platform for these institutions to share best practices and strengthen sector-wide collaboration for the benefit of students and teachers. I'm pleased to point out that this conference is part of a QESS fund project that aims to improve students' learning effectiveness by equipping teachers with the ability to implement blended learning. I'm confident that today's conference will inspire fruitful dialogue and an exchange on the latest development in the field of blended learning, education technology, and innovative pedagogy, all of which are critical to the education sector in the post-pandemic world. I'd like to take this opportunity to remind representatives of self-financing institutions in attendance that a new round of application for the QESS is now open. And we look forward to receiving more innovative proposals that draw on the insight gained from today's conference. On a related note, the EDB is pressing ahead with the legislative amendment exercise of the Post-Secondary College Ordinance, CAP 320, with the view to enhancing the regulatory framework and improving the governance of self-financing post-secondary institutions. I believe that by prescribing a unified and coherent regulatory framework for all operators of self-financing institutions, we will enable self-financing education sector to thrive and flourish in a more sustainable manner while complementing the contribution of the publicly funded sector. More dedicated funding support will also be provided for institutions under the revamped regulatory regime to help them develop their own strengths and niche areas. For instance, the 1.2 billion enhancement and startup grant scheme for self-financing post-secondary education launched in May 2020 provides financial supports for eligible self-financing institutions to develop and enhance programs that meet market needs but require high startup costs. Looking ahead, the EDB will continue to work closely with self-financing institutions, including CPCE, to further enhance the quality of self-financing post-secondary education, so as to provide multiple pathways for young people of different abilities and meet the evolving manpower needs of our economy. In closing, I wish the conference a tremendous success and all of you good health and a happy in the new year. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, our world is changing rapidly during the previous years. The environment, community, economy, business, and technology are changing with super speed. Being the most important presence to educate the next generation, I believe we should always make the greatest effort to provide best teaching to our students, such that they are well equipped to face this rapidly changing world. For example, can they obtain useful information from big data to solve their problem? Can they apply artificial intelligence to complete their design project? Is the traditional lecture and tutorial method sufficient for them to achieve good understanding of all the new technology? My heartfelt thanks to the Center of Pedagogic Research in arranging today's conference, especially during such a difficult time. It served as the useful platform to discuss this critical problem. I also want to thank sincerely the presenters who have shared their valuable findings in this topic with us. Colleagues, we have made a very good starting. I look forward to seeing the implementation of the technologies which have been suggested today. Perhaps the idea can be further developed into a research proposal. I really look forward to seeing that. Finally, may I congratulate the successful completion of the conference. Thank you so much. Thank you.